hello there, YouTube. With a little bit of sun in your face. Wearing these gloves, I couldn't get my little rubber lens cap in my pocket anywhere. I'm wearing this Joe Rocket jacket, and I thought I could get into the pockets. This thing's borderline too small for me. But the way the side, it doesn't have the little hand warmer pockets. It only has the top loading, whatever the hell they call them pockets. Anyway, I couldn't get the damn little lens cover in there in a manner that I thought I would not lose it. Anyway, I'm just going for a quick little loop. I had these guys, oh man, I smell some really nice fish coming out of that little restaurant. But there's some guys that I rode with for years, and I was, yeah, at that point I think I had quit racing, and they asked me to set them up with bikes, you know. So I set them up with I think they were all 600s, and I think they were mostly Hondas. But anyway, we all went up to SIR, Seattle International Raceway, and during the, you know, they were in kind of a beginner's class. Look at that. So anyway, we're up in the stands watching the race, and this horrific accident happened. And I won't go into details, but this is one of the most brutal things I've ever seen. But anyway, they literally all stood up, walked down to the pits, and started loading their bikes up. They never even finished out their day. In fact, I don't think they even raced their first race. I think it was all the, you know, like the qualifiers and you know, there's kind of like a warm-up session kind of a thing they have, and then you know, with each, I think there's like 4-lap qualifiers, and everybody qualified. It was basically your starting position. There wasn't so many people that everybody wasn't going to race. But anyway, this happened. They loaded them up, took them home, and I think all but about one of them sold their personal motorcycles, just quit riding motorcycles altogether. So, you know, something horrible happens. You know, it's the old classic, if the horse knocks you off, the first thing you do is get back on type of a thing. You know, horrible things happen in life in general. You can't stop living because something bad happened to somebody. And just because, you know, you've seen a horrible thing on a motorcycle doesn't mean, you know, by any means whatsoever this is going to happen to you, or even could happen to you. I mean, there's no guarantees in life as it is. To me, people that give up something they're so passionate about and love, I'm not saying you need to continue racing. You know, maybe your racing is something that, you know, okay, you're not really that comfortable with it anyway, and you know, if you're at a level that you're racing, you're for sure putting yourself at probably the highest risk, because you know, if you're into it, you're as fast as that bike will go, and you're on the edge as much as you dare go, you know. And the key to being fast is going a little over your comfort zone, you know, at times. When it comes down to duking it out and you want a certain position, you will drive over your head. And so the odds of something bad happening to you are, you know, profoundly higher racing. But they gave up motorcycles altogether. And I just think that's sad. That's just like you know, a family member passes away and you just give up living, going, it ain't worth living. I'm afraid to step outside because, you know, so-and-so got struck by lightning, or, you know, I can never go in the city again because they got hit by a car. I mean, there's risks in life. you have to live. There's all kinds of cool little roads shooting down in here. I need to do some serious exploring out here. God, it is beautiful. I feel like I'm riding in a headwind. Or just, maybe it's been a while since I rode the iron. It just seems like a lot of helmet noise. And I notice when I keep the shield down, something about my voice bouncing around in the bubble of a closed helmet, it tends to mute my voice down a bit. I know as soon as I crack the shield, all of a sudden my voice goes way up. You know, when I walk around, like in the shop or just moving around the shop, driving in and out, the gain rises so high on these mics. You know, they have that, it sounds like you're, you know, I have one of the mics going down my throat, you know. You just hear this, you know, Darth Vader breathing thing going on, you know. Well, you know, as soon as I get moving, it goes away. And if you're standing there talking to me, you could literally be giving me a hug. I don't breathe like that. It's just the mics pick all that stuff up. It sounds horrible, but it's just what they do. But anyway, if I'm walking around the shop and I shut my shield, all that sound goes away. So if it should pick it up ever, it should pick it up with the face shield down. But what it is just my normal breathing and talking or whatever is so much louder with it all bouncing around in this orb of my, you know, helmet with the face shield shut, that it knocks the gain way down on the mic, so you don't hear me breathing at all. It's kind of weird. You'd think it would be a polar opposite, but it's not. Essentially, with my shield open when I'm in the shop or whatever, it's trying to pick up. No, I personally am being quieter. I'm not on a running motorcycle being loud, so they just gain up. You know, if I start talking real loud, they'll drop down. And the nice thing about these drift mics is they do it so fast. They react amazingly fast. But they do have a problem that a whole bunch of these little mics have, is there's something about the exhaust pulse of certain bikes, and Harleys, and now I've discovered Indians are the same way. The exhaust pulse must make the diaphragm or whatever it is in the mic that, you know, resonates the sound. I can assume it's like an eardrum or something. I have no idea. It's like, you know, a miniature speaker, but it's working in reverse. You ever been a kid, you know, back in the old days, you accidentally plugged your microphone into the headset side? You'll literally hear music coming out of your microphone. But anyway, these things, some about the exhaust pulse, even the iron does it too, that when they're idling, it just doesn't sound right at all. You hear that? It's almost like this clicking, popping sound. And man, my Street Glide does it bad. I don't think it's quite as bad as a Road King did. But if you were standing here with it, or you were the one riding it, that sound's not there at all. And I'm sure you guys with Harleys have noticed your mics doing that. However, the Cena setup, especially with the 20S, does not do that. But in the same breath, you don't hear the bike as well either. So it's kind of a trade-off. You lose the clicking, popping sound, but you don't really hear the bike anymore either. So there's a lot of big buildings around here. Obviously that's being used for something. Oh, look at that old house there. Man, that thing looks like a turn of the century house there. It's funny, I mean, we're into this 15 years now, but you can't just say the turn of the century anymore. You're now in the next century. You know, I think there's all kinds of cool roads that could be explored around Wooden Lock here. I took you through here with Kelly. That was some kind of big old building there, and you can tell it had a big basement and everything in it, going by the pit that it left behind. Look at that rickety old thing. It's amazing that's still standing there. You think the first windstorm that comes along and that thing's on the deck, but look at that. I mean, that's got to be 1800s. I mean, look at, you know, Kelly's always looking at, she's always been that way. She's always looking at houses, you know, which is a cool thing. I mean, she finds some of the coolest deals sometimes. But anyway, you look at these houses, you know, it says, you know, built 38, and you look at this thing, you're going, wow, I would have easily guessed. Oh, look at the Amtrak. And look at that, behind, with the sun in our face, and the engine behind the trees, the Amtrak goes by. But anyway, a house, you know, built in the 30s doesn't look as old as what you think it would look. I mean, there's definitely some older styles still around, but there were some modern styles that are not, you know, hasn't been too terribly long since they were still using that style of house. Kind of creepy. Yeah, I could have just wore my regular stuff here. I could even have worn my fingerless gloves and that'd have been fine. This First Street, I think, is one of those that shot down. I don't want to, it'll go back out to that highway I came off of here a little bit ago. I don't want to end up backtracking where I just came from. Do you guys ever do this? Just get on your bike and just kind of lazily goof around, just drive through neighborhoods and look at the leaves off of that tree. I should have paid way more attention to that one. And just goof around and just see what's going on, just for the hell of it. When I was a kid in Texas, you know, we moved into this neighborhood that was just being built, and now it's you know, fairly huge, but now it's quite old. But anyway, I mean, some of the best bicycle and motorcycle riding was just goofing around and just riding through the neighborhoods. You know, everybody knew who you were, you know. You didn't annoy anybody. I've never been one for loud motorcycles. I just don't like loud motorcycles. Not only are they offensive to other people, they're actually annoying to ride. Quite annoying. I know people just don't care. It's so cool in their mind that they don't care. The louder the better. Straight pipes, no baffles. I want it as loud as it can be. I mean, are you like 8 years old or something? That's annoying. And it's a fact. It causes noise fatigue. It actually wears you out. Even though you're just sitting on the bike cruising along, it wears you out listening to a loud ass motorcycle or riding a loud motorcycle. That old Sportster in there, I don't know if you guys can see that. That's weird, there's no bikes out in front of that tavern. There's always bikes outside that tavern. It's funny, I think I'm in like third gear at 25 miles an hour. This thing's so low geared you can just go clicking through the gears. The low gearing of this thing is a treasure, and it's also a bad thing. You know, there's always some kind of a trade-off. But if you could keep the 883 gearing and add one gear to it, just, you know, as some type, you know, with nothing more than basically like an overdrive. I don't mean a big big overdrive. I mean, just a sequential step up. This thing would be perfect beyond belief. And then the 1200s with their gearing, and it's done in the the primary and secondary. It's in the chain cases where the gearing changes. The front pulley and rear pulley, it's not like they changed the sprockets and did something there. It's actually in the clutching, so it's not a cheap thing to convert. But anyway, those are I love the gearing on the 1200s, but anything like slow speed goofing around, just loafing about like I was just doing in that neighborhood, first gear on a 1200 is damn near what second gear is on this. So you're using the clutch a lot, and if you get going too slow and you take your hand off the clutch to do something, you're like at a walking speed, they'll chuckle and buck, it's just way too tall of a gear. But once you're moving, it's a much more pleasant gearing because of the primary difference. It makes each gear last longer. So when you romp on it, you get a longer pull out of each gear. It's almost like riding a 4-speed. And literally, like all the 1200s I've had, I usually don't shift into 5th gear until like 70. On this one, 60 miles an hour, you're in 5th gear. It's almost like a 1-gear change. But that being said, if you had the 1200 gearing on an 883, it would make it feel gutless. And I think that's it's just kind of a trick too with the 883. They don't feel as gutless as you would think, because they are lower gear, so the gearing kind of matches the bike, I guess. And you can go down the freeway perfectly fine with these things. I mean, legal limit 70-75 all day long. That thing's not revving too high. It's when you get into those higher speeds, get with a pack of cars that are all bombing down the freeway like a bunch of idiots, you can hang with them if you so dare, and you're perfectly fine. You get this thing up to 80-85 and it's getting to an RPM that you start getting some buzz in the bars and buzz in the foot pegs. It's nothing to make your feet go to sleep or anything horrible like that. It's not like that at all, but it's more annoying than anything else. And the mirrors get buzzy too. It's hard to see behind you, but it's all cool. Oh, the guy's turning, which means I'm going to be behind him, which means I'm going to take a different road. Ready to give it up just yet. I just goofed up. Sitting here yammering along and missed my turn. What an idiot. I was thinking of the gas station, and that's the fastest way to the gas station. Or rumble you down through the kind of the back roads. Well, it started out over here, but anyway, I would say if you're new to biking, or how about this? Maybe you're not new, but you've never had a wreck, and you just think you're lucky. There's way more than luck to not crashing a motorcycle or getting hurt. If you live out in the country, you're never going to learn any of these city scenarios. You just never will. I mean, it's so different. You live out in the country and you suddenly find yourself in a big city, you're probably going to get in a wreck. Especially if you're a little cocky, and you bomb around. somebody's going to make a turn in front of you or change lanes in front of you. You need to learn the things to look for, you know, and things not to do. If traffic's going slow, I know the lane splitting and stuff, you know, but like in California, you know, if they legalize it here, there's going to be a lot of people getting hurt. Because, I mean, I realize not all Californians know that, you know, there's lane splitting or whatever, or don't have a lot of exposure to it. But every time I lane split when I was down there, and when I was even back down there on the Spider, I couldn't lane split, but I'd observe what people would do as guys were bombing through. They're all looking for them. The majority of the people see the motorcycles coming and literally park the C's. It's pretty amazing. You got the daydreamers and the texters and the assholes, or the people that just don't know. But the majority of them tend to give you a break. They're used to it. They deal with it day in and day out. There's a lot of motorcycles bombing down through there. I mean, just non-stop. So, but if you're illegally lane splitting or, you know, passing, one of the things that'll get you every time is getting frustrated. Like, say you're in an area that there is no lane splitting, which is probably 98% of the planet. You know, I've seen and heard of many people getting frustrated and will, you know, pass where they shouldn't pass, and then they start bombing. Oh, that's my foot big. Bombing past a series. God, that is gorgeous down there. Look at the leaves laying in the water in spots there. Jeez, that is so pretty. I got this feeling I'm gonna lose my mirror. I don't know why. It's like too close to the edge of my pocket. But it feels like it's hitting the bottom, but it works its way back up. But anyway, getting frustrated and getting a little road rage going on and go ripping past cars, that's going to get you every time. Because you're flying past a line of cars, there's no traffic coming at you, so you decide I'm going to pass about 50 cars all in one shot. You have an extremely high likelihood of one of those cars taking a left in front of you. And you're done. You can't react fast enough. I know in your mind, you know, you're thinking you're on your R6 or whatever, and you can stop that thing faster than anything. Car pulls out in front of you. For one, in a sheer panic mode, you're not going to stop as good. When suddenly a car darts out in front of you, you're not going to react correctly. You're going to grab too much front brake and possibly wash out, or you're just going to freeze. And you don't know how you're going to react to a situation like that until it's presented before you. And I kid you not, you can have all the scenarios in your head of how you're going to react to something, but you don't know until one of these horrible things happens to you, and it's just instant, just absolutely in a flash. You don't have a time to react. You're doing something really stupid, and something happens before you, and you do not have time to react. It's just a matter of whether this is going to kill you, maim you, or you're going to walk away. So, overall, I would suggest watching them. But there's the downside to this. They can be very depressing and kind of scary. If you're a weak person and you watch a bunch of motorcycle crashes, you know, oh, I just decided it's too dangerous. When we're talking riding a motorcycle, we're not talking walking a tightrope across the Grand Canyon. I mean, sure, motorcycles inherently can be dangerous, probably more dangerous than driving in a car, but you know, You probably ride a bicycle to work and don't think nothing about it. I almost think riding a bicycle in the city is more dangerous than a motorcycle. At least you got very visible lights and you're larger and whatever. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. You guys can listen to what I say with a grain of salt. Throw it all out. Think of me as some crazy old coot. There's probably some validity to that. Or watch some of them videos and learn a lot of things not to do. There's a lot to learn not to do. Things to look out for. Which that in itself seems a little scary, but makes you live longer and enjoy this wonderful sport for a lot longer too. Now after I say all that, I'll probably drive up the road, a deer dive out in front of me, and that'll be the end of me. Knock on wood there a little bit. So I'm going to slip out. We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you now. Bye-bye.